Positions is the 6th studio album from singer-songwriter Ariana Grande. The last few years or so have been a roller coaster for Ariana Grande, both personally and commercially, and that has reflected in the kind of music that she's been putting out. In my opinion, she really came into her own with her last two releases, Sweetener and Thank You Next, and the latter particularly showed her talent for writing very layered emotional pop songs coupled with her undeniably amazing voice. She was drawing from elements of pop, hip-hop and R&B and proving to the world that she wasn't just a hit maker, she was crafting wholly enjoyable and holistic albums. This new album, Positions, is perhaps a return to basics for her. Most of the album revolves around the themes of intimacy and sex. These themes aren't particularly new for Ariana Grande either. What's different here is that the approach is far more straight to the point and in your face without much sugarcoating, for better or worse. That in-your-face approach is best exemplified by the second single that dropped, 34 plus 35, with its over-the-top and almost parody-like approach to sex. Aside from the lyrics, it's one of a handful of Ariana Grande songs that attempts to blend elements of hip-hop, trap, and R&B. Admittedly, it is a very fun song with its subtle little string arrangements and her infectious and catchy flow, and I think it makes complete sense that this is one of the songs being released as a single. Just like this song, a lot of the album feels and sounds like she's having fun for the most part. And I think that makes sense when you place it in the context of the last few albums. The last 2 or 3 albums were very heavy and emotionally driven. That fun, light, breezy nature and approach to making a song is exemplified in the album's title song and lead single. Again, like 34 plus 35, it's all about intimacy, although it's a bit more of a kind of wink to the audience rather than just being upfront and overtly explicit. The vocal layering, as usual with her music, is amazing. The hook is extremely catchy and the entire song has this addictive quality to it. And I think the fact that it's relatively short helps that. Unlike Thank You Next, we actually get a few guest vocalists on the album in the shape of Doja Cat, Ty Dolla $ign, and The Weeknd. Unfortunately, not all of them stand out in the best possible way. Not all of them add too much to the songs that they're on. And I think the feature from Doja Cat on the song Motive is maybe the most disappointing feature on the album. The song is a kind of clunky, awkward amalgamation of R&B and house elements with a relatively uninteresting instrumental and a quite frankly phoned in performance from Doja Cat. If Motive wasn't an Ariana Grande song with her distinctive vocals carrying it, it would be a completely forgotten song. And the thing with this album is that regardless of its high points or low points, almost everything in this album is very firmly in Ariana Grande's wheelhouse. It's, for the most part, all sounds that we've heard from her before. We're used to hearing these things and it's safe, which can be fine. She's very, very good at performing the sound. I think it would have been refreshing, nice to hear something new or a new approach. I think that's what we got with some of the songs on Thank You Next, and I think that's part of the reason that album was so strong. The one song on here which I feel does take a risk and sounds relatively different from the rest of the album is the song West Side, and I think it makes for maybe the best song on the entire project. It's driven by this strange, otherworldly kind of reversed sci-fi instrumental with Ariana Grande quite assertively but understandably being very picky about this prospective partner. The song's very smooth. The instrumental isn't very overbearing, so it allows Ariana Grande to show her vocal range and her vocal ability. And the hook brings a kind of hip-hop cadence to it that burrows in your head and is very catchy. It's one of the more subtle moments on the album. Unfortunately, it's also one of the shortest moments on the album, but it's definitely a high point. The next song, Love Language, is essentially like an upgrade on the song Motive. It's again influenced by house music, but it's got these little string arrangements added in for good measure. Again, like the previous song, it's one of the more emotionally driven songs on the album, one of the most dynamic, and one of the most original. The song Safety Net with Ty Dolla $ign is again another emotionally driven song, this time in the context of an R&B ballad all about emotional vulnerability. The ghostly backing vocals and instrumentation is amazing, in my opinion, and Ty Dolla $ign's feature is the only feature on this album that brings something extra to the song. The album closes with maybe the most overtly dramatic song on the album, which is POV, and it does admittedly tie the album in a nice little bow. Unfortunately, the album just isn't consistent enough to maintain the highs of these songs. A large chunk just sounds like an admirably done rehashing of sounds we've heard from Ariana Grande before, which is disappointing, I think, only because the last two albums were so strong. It would have taken an incredible feat to release 3 albums of that strength 3 years running. But even if this isn't her best work, and I don't think it's near her best work, because she has that voice and her charisma, it's still a very easy and enjoyable listen. And I think that is a testament to her talent. It's still good, even when it's nowhere near her best. What you're almost guaranteed at this point with an Ariana Grande project is amazing vocals and layering and harmonies, and this album definitely doesn't lack in that department. What it does lack in is the emotion and attention to detail of especially the previous album, as well as some middle-of-the-road forgettable production. I do really think that Ariana Grande has the capacity to step completely out of her comfort zone and try something that we haven't heard from her before, and I do think she has shown glimpses of that in previous albums. Even with those downsides, I still enjoyed listening to this album. It's like Ariana Grande is a pizza maker. Even if the new pizza isn't as good as the last pizza, it's still a pizza and I'm still going to eat the whole thing. There are definitely some very strong standouts on this album. Ariana Grande fans are going to love this album, and that makes complete sense. 3 albums in 3 years is a hell of a lot of work for any artist, and getting out a semi-decent album as the third one is commendable. I don't know what's going to come next. Maybe she'll take some time off for a bit and try something new and go in a different direction. But whatever she does, I will definitely be there and looking forward to it. Those are my thoughts on the album. Let me know in the description down below what you think. Make sure to like, subscribe, and dong the bell. And I shall see you next time.